Hello, it's Jennifer from Formula Fun, and I just wanted to gather with you today and give you a little bit of update on my interactive notebooks, and to let you know that I have created an interactive notebook starters pack just for you, perfect for all subjects. So here's a little update on my interactive notebook. This one is geared towards 5th grade math. And you can see that the works in progress pocket is here in the front for all of those items that you may not finish, that you have little pieces for that you need to finish the next day. I really, really love having this for my students so they have a place to keep things. It's better to me than having paper clips, items thrown in a desk, or a Ziploc baggie full of things that might get bent and destroyed. I try to use this pocket in their notebooks right here. This is for workstation worksheets or homework or practice problems or maybe projects that they're working on. It's for the bigger things. You can see right here we've got our cover page. It says My Math Notebook. I like to put that one on colored paper unless I let them decorate. Sometimes I let them decorate. I really like this one because there is enough white space around it that they can still decorate, but it's labeled and I can see right away that it's their math notebook. Then we move into the interactive notebook grading rubric. This is an upgrade of my prior one. I love it so much more. It's organized and detailed and it's fun fonts. Then we move into the table of contents and I take 4 pages for that. As you can see. Then we move into doing our math goals. These are actual math goals from a 5th grader of what they would like to do over the course of a year. And then after they've taken time to do their math goals, we sit down one-on-one and we create a plan to help them achieve their math goals. I may not create a plan to help them achieve all of them at once, but we may choose first priority is this, and then this is what we're going to do over the course of the next 6 weeks to help achieve that goal. The first lesson I always teach my students, and this is before they even really get started into their interactive notebooks, is we go over problem solving. This is one of my superhero problem solving, and I need to make a new copy of that one because I was coloring it because I didn't have access to my color printer, and yeah, it just doesn't look its best. But that's okay. But we go into talking about problem solving practice and what good problem solvers do. And I've always put the I can statement at the top, right below their title. Then so we would open the session with talking about what do problem solvers do, and they would give me some input on what it would be. And then we would create this mini book about problem solving practice. And I would type out these 4 problems, and they would cut them out and glue them in. And then we would use our problem solving strategies to solve those. That way they have a reference to look back to. Okay, I know my strategies, but how do I put them in place? And they're right here with each other. I really am a big proponent on, I know a lot of people talk about left side, right side. I reverse it because that's what makes sense to me. So the left side is teacher input, teacher directed, which here it's me going over strategies with them, telling them what they are. And then the right side's more student directed. There is a bit of teacher directed up here, but then from here down, this is all student-centered. And the only reason that I spent some here is because this is a full sheet. So from here down is all student-directed. And then there's a reflection problem at the end, and this is like their exit ticket. And so it's why is it important to carefully read a word problem before solving. So they would have the ability to explain to me why they think it's important. And that's going to give me a little bit of insight for them. And then moving right along, we do a KWL chart about interactive notebooks. What do they know about notebooks? What do they want to know about interactive notebooks? And then we leave the learned part open for later in the year. And so that I tell them to remember that there are 3 things to remember about your interactive notebook. It needs to be creative, it needs to be colorful, and it needs to be complete. So then we create a contract together. This one says, I will keep my IMBs in their best condition throughout the year. I will complete all of my assignments to the best of my ability, and I will ask for help when needed. And then they sign it and date it. And then we're able to move on to our first unit. I always let them to either decorate their unit pages, or I may print out something on the computer for them to at least put unit 1 or a big number 1. and then they add their title for it. The first unit in 5th grade is whole number operations and patterns. And my first pages always are vocabulary. So you can see that I have fit 8 Frayer models on the first 2 pages. And some of them I've already completed to have as an example. So like our second vocabulary word is sum. So we write that on the outside. Then we go in and we write that in the center. And I start the year with, I always give them a definition. I tell them that a sum is the answer when adding 2 or more numbers. Then we talk about what the characteristics of that would be. So the total in an addition sentence and follows an equal sign. So from here, 9 plus 2 equals 11. So that tells them that 11 is the sum. We do go back and talk about how it can be flipped so they can see it both ways. So we show examples. I always point to what I'm talking about in the problem. And then I show non-examples. The reason I used that is I wanted them to see that, no, remember these are the add-ins that we learned about the other day, but also that the parts of a subtraction problem are not related to the sum. So going from there, then I would start the next lesson. So that is for a whole another day. But just to let you see what all is part of this interactive notebook starters pack. It is 30 pages of awesome goodness for all subjects. In here, there's a lot of notes from me. So it's basically why I started interactive notebooks, how long I've been using them, and just the basics. Then I talk about what is an interactive notebook used for. What can you, as the teacher, learn by using interactive notebooks from your students? Where do I start? Planning ahead is crucial. How do I incorporate an I and B in the time that I have? This is so important. And it even give you the link for a blog post that I wrote about this. And I went really, really detailed in that blog post. And then I have interactive notebook learning samples. So in here, you're getting a lot of copies of stuff. This is my interactive notebook planning sheet. It plans through page 1 through 199. Which, if you have a 100-page spiral, this plans the whole thing for you. Then you have cover sheets for every type of notebook you could want. So there's just my regular notebook for some of us that use our notebooks for more than one subject. My math notebook, my writing notebook, my reading notebook, my science notebook, my social studies notebook. And in there, after that, you also have a copy of the interactive notebook grading rubric. You can see there are only 3 columns to grade it. I simply just attach another one on that once I've graded my first 3 6 weeks. I've also typed up the goals and plan sheet for you. Some of my students really need that structured already together. Some of them are able to do it on their own, but that way you have a copy of that. Here is the works in progress pocket flippable. So you saw it completed. All you do is cut around the dashed lines, fold on the solid line, fold on the solid line, then tape up the edges. Really simple. Here is the KWL flippable. It's 2 per page, save some copies. And then here is the mini book, and I have a mini book for each of the subjects. Basically, I went through and I said, okay, what would be the first lesson that I would teach in each subject? And the first one that I came up in math is problem solving practice, just like I showed you in my notebook. So it's simply cut this extra spot out, cut around it, and then fold it. Then I went in and I used some of my help from my lovely friend Meg. And I said, okay, what's the first lesson you teach in reading? And she said, I teach my students how to pick a just right book. So it's a book that is perfect for them to read. So great place to take notes on that. What makes a good writer? Again, thanks to Meg. I know science safety is always the first lesson that I've always taught in science so that they're ready to be safe in the classroom and in the lab. And then for social studies and history, I did history in the making. I always like to start the year with some current events. So you can talk about this and how it reflects to prior things that have happened in history, as well as to things it could lead to in the future. And then the last thing in the pack is the Frayer model. It is a diagonal Frayer model. It's the style that I prefer, so I created this one. And there are 2 per page to help save on copies. So I hope you enjoy this, and if you are looking for my interactive notebook starter pack, please go take a look at it in my Teachers by Teachers or my Teachers Notebook store. I will have links into the comments for you, and I hope you have a fabulous day. As always, if you have any questions about interactive notebooks, feel free to leave me a comment or send me an email. Thanks, and have a great day.